What's up, guys? Welcome to Football Today podcast. I'm joined by David. What's up, David?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. This week was pretty rough. It was a hard one
You've
to
had some
get
ups
through.
and downs this week, dude.
Lots of downs, lots of downs. Um, but that's been the narrative for Chelsea this season so far. So we'll see how it pans out. But yeah, before we get into that, because I'm pretty sure you guys can read the ticker at the bottom, but let's talk Champions League first, which I guess starts with Chelsea. So, unfortunately,
Let's not
um,
hide the headline, right? Let's just get right to it.
yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, Champions League group stage game one was this last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. It started with um, Chelsea versus I can never say it, Dynamo Zeg, what, Zagreb.
Um, Zagreb, yeah,
Zagreb. I keep I keep wanting to say like Dynamo Kiev or whatever, but anyway,
yeah. There's too many. There are a bunch of dynamos. Yeah,
it's a bunch of Dynamos. But yeah, so Chelsea lost out to them 1-0 with 68% possession. Um, yeah, I mean that's we'll get into the other games too, but I think that's like the majority of upsets this Champions League first game week is lots of I guess low teams doing the low block and counterattack, and that's exactly what happened here. And in the goal against Chelsea, Fofana got caught out. He tried to make an early tackle, missed it, and couldn't catch him. And then the guy just slotted it past the keeper. So um,
yeah.
that
And
was
I
a
feel bad for
perfect narrative.
Kepa because Kepa always gets in these situations. Once
Yes,
you
he
know,
does.
oh, Kepa, what's going on? Um,
Yeah.
Interesting though from Tuchel, he put in Aubameyang immediately and Fofana immediately, so it was
Yes.
that was quite a change to starting lineup with
Hmm.
Sterling, Aubameyang, and Havertz like all starting.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Fofana was a clear decision because he made a really big impression the league game before over the weekend, and so he showed quality. So Tuchel gave him a chance in Champions League against a mediocre mediocre team. So, but Aubameyang was you're right, David, the biggest surprise because he still has that fractured jaw from his armed assault on in his home
Yeah,
Barcelona against his family. Um, and so hopefully London treats him better. Should treat him better um, to be back in London. And if you guys don't know, which if you watch this podcast, you should know. He's at Arsenal before, so he's back in London. So hopefully his family is liking London better than Barcelona, especially because of recent events. Anyway, um, but yeah, Chelsea just couldn't not finish in this game.
hmm
We had a couple really big chances, especially with Sterling. I think Sterling got unlucky a couple of times,
yeah,
um, but that's the game. And you just got to keep pushing. And Chelsea again could not finish. I know Christian Pulisic got subbed in the second half, but could hardly make an effect in the game. Um, but yeah, any thoughts on the game, David?
yeah. I always think that it's tricky when a team that's going to sit in a low block scores early. That just gives them incentive to like dig deeper, and
Hmm.
so yeah. Pretty early on, Tuchel made some really big changes. Putting in Ziyech, pulling out Espilicueta, putting in Hakeem Ziyech. I can't say his name.
Ziyech.
Ziyech, yeah, thank you. Um, and then Jorginho and Broja, like those are some normal changes, but Broja maybe not. But he tried, and I don't see it as like a failing. Like I think that there were some tactical errors on like positioning by Fofana
Hmm.
and Kepa. That was unfortunate for him, but I
If you can hear me still, David, you went out. I think we lost him there. Oh, yes, we're back. Looks like we lost David. I'll try to get him back up, but you got me for now. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully David gets back in here. But talking about Ziyech, I think that's a big, big tactical change or mistake. Hold on, we got David here. You got me, David? And we lost him again.
I was
All
muted.
right,
Can you hear
we're
me?
back. Yep, we're good. All right, welcome back, guys. So, going off the topic of Chelsea's Champions League game, I'm going to bring up Hakim Ziyech. Um, I think that was a horrible tactical decision for Tuchel to bring him in. Um, just because I don't know, like he took charge of 2 free kicks in that game and did the exact same thing and put them both into the wall. And on that second one, I had my hands over my head. I was like,
Hmm.
James, take it. Don't let him take it. Reese, you better let him take it. And then sure enough, Ziyech takes it, puts it in the wall, and I was fuming. Like I pretty much turned off the game at that point. Like I don't know.
So
That
here's a question:
go ahead.
who's the captain? Was Azpilicueta the starting captain?
I don't know about the starting captain, but he's normally captain.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, um, yeah, I don't know how to find out if he was the captain in that game. Anyway, when he was subbed, like, do you feel like uh, they lost some leadership, or do you think they need more leadership on the field?
For sure, yeah. I think let's see when they subbed out at the same time.
Yeah, Azpilicueta
I'm
went out and
looking.
Ziyech went in, and then Kovacic went out, and
See that was at the 45th minute. I think that was a horrible decision by Tuchel to make that
mhm.
change. Um, because then what? That's 15 minutes later he brings in Jorginho, who who is like a captain to Chelsea. So I mean, like you can't just take out a captain and then leave nobody on the field because then you have 3 players that like that happened twice arguing over a free kick. Um,
Yeah.
and then the wrong person takes it. So it should have been Mount both of the times because Mount was superior free kick taker over both of them. So
Yep. Yep.
um, but yeah, there's some work to be done at Chelsea, and we'll get into that later. All right, let's move on to the next game.
Did we talk about Tuchel then, or is that later?
That's later. We'll get into it
Okay.
later.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yep. Leave it there. Leave it there. Um, okay, so Salzburg Milan was a 1-1 tie. Again, Salzburg did the low block against AC Milan. Got really good counter and put it in. So I mean, you got any thoughts on that, David?
Um. Yeah, I was just kind of surprised. I thought that Milan should have done better. I think that 66% possession. We talked about that. They didn't have very many shots on goal though. They had 3 compared to Salzburg's 5,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of confusing to me. I feel like you should have the shots on goal. I think they subbed in some interesting subs that you felt like would make like a difference. Like they pulled out the Ketelaere and they put in Brahim Diaz. Um, they got Messias in for Salamakers. One of the things that I guess this brings up in both these games that had like they were going against the low block is who's your creative force in the middle? Like who's gonna actually break those teams down? And I don't know if either AC Milan or Chelsea had someone that I was like, oh yeah, that person's going to do it. That
Yeah.
person's going to actually break them down. So, yeah, I say props to Salzburg, but I think that AC Milan definitely should have won.
Mhm. Agreed. All right, and next game was Dortmund 3 over Copenhagen nil. I think pretty cut and dry. Marco
Yeah,
Royce got the first goal. Jude Bellingham got the last goal, so that's a good
yeah,
effort
and
for him.
then Guerrero, who is the left back
Hmm.
supposedly,
Yeah,
he's always like on attack.
yeah,
Fantastic goal by him.
yeah. So I mean, It's pretty straightforward. It is all Dortmund the entire game, and they dominated. So,
Yep.
any further thoughts?
Uh, I think Copenhagen actually has some pretty good players. I think Andreas Cornelius is a good player. And Victor Claesson is not a bad player. So they have a couple players. They just don't have the overall team quality to beat even a team that's as weak at the back as Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund was playing Sula though, who and they played.
Yeah,
They've gathered a little strength at the back. Sula and Schlotterbeck, they're not bad players. But if you're running Guerrero, that means you're only running three at the back. So I don't. I guess what I'm saying is like Dortmund might get opened up later, but Copenhagen doesn't have the power to do that.
no, agreed. All right, and then next game is Man City. Oh, so we're in Group G now. Sorry. So Man City 4 and Sevilla nil. Um, so Holland, of course, with assist from De Bruyne again. So that's probably going to be the pairing of the year is De Bruyne and Holland. Like it's going to be really hard to stop that connection.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be saying that a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holland got two in that game. So he got the double, and he's just off to a fine start. Like I know last league game he only got one, and some people are like, oh, is he getting humbled? I'm like, guys, dude, he's still scoring. Like
Mm-hmm.
he scored one. He's not going to score a hat trick every single game, but he still scored. So yeah.
So an interesting thing about Sevilla. This kind of relates to my classic. Hey, remember that Barcelona is cheating rant. So they sold Jules Koundé to
Hmm.
Barcelona. So they have two 20-year-old center backs who started, and then they have Jesus Navas and Marcos Acuna, who are both. I think Jesus Navas is 36, and Acuna is 30, and then they have Papu Gomez, who's also that was their defense. Two 20-year-old center backs and then some old wing backs. Then they had Papu Gomez, who's 34, Rakitic, who's 34, Alex Tellez, who's 29, and Isco's 30. So like their attack is getting old. You know, their midfield is 30 and 31. Thomas Delaney is not bad,
Delaney.
but that's just like an aging team surrounded by with two center backs that are young. That's not going to get you anywhere, especially against Man City. Man City will just
No.
be able to work the ball around. Guess what? Your midfield and your attack force isn't going to be able to pressure the ball. They're going to get tired. It's that game was done before it started. I said that Sevilla was going to have trouble, but I just felt bad for them. That's a rough game.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing Sevilla really can do about it. Um, that's all I gotta say. You got anything
Yeah.
to say on this?
Yeah, I love Papu Gomez. I love Isco. I love Jesus Navas. Like those are all great players, but they're past their prime. So Sevilla
Mhm.
had to sit back and play defensive, and they're going to have to continue to figure out who they are. They're in a giant rebuilding process. I feel bad for them. But once again, my bets early on were that this is Man City's year. So let's see if they continue.
Yep. Again, agreed. All right, let's move to Group F. Starting out Group F was Shakhtar Donetsk 4, Leipzig 1. So Leipzig blew it um, completely against a so-called mediocre team that they should have beat, and they got blown out. So they were just watching highlights this game. There's just a lot of poor play by Leipzig. Again, a lot of chances they did not take and could not finish. So, and like it says, it's what 68% possession. So a lot of these teams have got this low block and counterattack figured out against these
Mm-hmm.
possession style or modern possession style teams, and that's really shown in Champions League.
Yeah, I agree. One of the interesting things that we could bring up here is the fact that Shakhtar Donetsk, historically, for the past like 10 or 15 years, has had tons of Brazilians on their team. Um, I
Hmm.
think I don't think they only had one in their starting lineup. I don't know if they how many they had in their substitutions, but it's kind of crazy because they've changed completely, and clearly they're effective. I don't think that they're going to be effective if they have to go out and bring the attack to any of these teams, but in a counterattacking style that can work. So, and Leipzig hasn't been doing fantastic either way. So it's it's always kind of like a tricky scenario where the team that
Hmm.
should be doing well hasn't been playing well, but they had to come out and attack, and then Donetsk was able to play to their advantage. So I think that was a rough scenario. Hopefully, like I want all teams to do well. So hopefully Shakhtar continues to do well, but also hopefully Leipzig will get their act together a little bit. They need to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's keep it moving with Group F. Real Madrid had a comfortable win, 3-0 against Celtic. Thoughts on Real Madrid's form?
Yeah. First of all, that there was a big issue because they didn't know Benzema got. Let me see. Was that the game he got injured? I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so he got
The
subbed
halfway
off on
through.
the 30th minute. Hazard got subbed in, and they kind of changed a lot of things up. But luckily they still had enough power. I thought Celtic actually played really well, and it was unlucky for them. But Madrid, Hazard got a goal. He got an assist. Or no, Danny Carvajal got an assist. Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. He got the assist for Modric as well. So yeah, it was an interesting game. I think that Madrid kind of pulled through with like their kind of overwhelmed. Like they did have more um, just power, like more class, like good, uh, like the class to put it away. But like
Hmm.
for example, Celtic missed a shot off the post um,
Yes,
like
I
early
remember
on,
that.
and that could have totally changed the game.
Oh yeah.
And they played really well too. So I feel bad for them, but Real Madrid somehow managed to pull through.
Yeah.
Easily. It looked easy, but it should have been tough.
Yep.
Should have been like a 2-1 or something, not a 3-0.
There's a lot. We're like, okay, like that team won, that we expected to win. So, and one of those teams moving the Group H was Benfica against. I'm just gonna say the last part, Haifa.
No, Maccabi
Haifa.
Haifa, yeah,
Yeah, cannot pronounce these new teams in there. Yeah,
yeah,
Benfica won 2-0 over them. Um, Pretty comfortable from what saw from the highlights. So,
yeah.
even though possession was
I don't really
more
know
in
any of
Benfica's
the
favor, but
players on either team, but interesting. Maccabi Haifa did have a U.S. goalie,
hmm
and so yeah, that's about all I have to say.
yeah, pretty much. Then the second group or second game in Group H was PSG Juve, um, and it was pretty much Mbappe's show in that game. Um, he took it to him in the first half, scored 2 goals, um, and it was just all PSG until the American came on in the second half, and then 13 minutes later he scores. Um, that was a rocket, right?
Yeah, that was a fantastic
Yeah,
goal.
yeah. I'm trying to remember, but yeah. So great goal from McKennie, but couldn't again. Juve couldn't find that extra oomph in their strive to get another one past PSG, and PSG is just their depth is pretty good as well.
Yeah, they've put
So
together a couple fantastic players that really help out. In the past, they've had some really good attacking players, but then their midfield is what really weak or something
mhm.
like that. This is a much more balanced team. Their center backs are really balanced. You know, Sergio Ramos, Marquinhos, and Kimpembe. I'm not saying Kimpembe is the greatest, but like that's a solid group. Then Hakimi, Verratti, Vitinha, and Mendes. That's really solid. And then you of course you have the attacking line of Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar. That's ridiculous. So I thought that Juve got lucky actually. Um, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're
But
good. So I think Juve got lucky because I think that it should have
mhm,
been 2-0, 3-0, 4-0,
yeah,
something.
true.
I
I
know
see that.
I know that Rabiot had a bunch of shots, but like that they did not look like the classic Juve team where they were hard to beat and where they could score goals if they want. They looked fragile.
Juve look fragile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Like I was saying, like they couldn't find, excuse me, they couldn't find their form in that game, and then I mean, it took something special from a midfield player to even get a goal. So I mean, with Dybala, or yeah, Dybala leaving in the summer like that, they lost their attacking edge a little bit there too. So
Yeah, Vlahovic was good at the beginning, but like it seems like he's calmed down. Milik hasn't been
mhm,
anything special, and just like they got rid of so many players, and the people they brought in, like I don't understand what they're expecting them to do. It just seems like a very blunt edged attack and
mhm,
a fragile defense. That's not a good combination. They're not going to at this rate. They're not going to do well in the Serie A, and they're going to be
yeah,
out by the group stage in the Champions League. Like that wouldn't
yeah,
surprise me at all.
yeah. Um, the Serie A have four Champions League spots, or is it one playoff?
Oof. I
I can't
I think
remember.
it's one playoff. I don't think they have four.
Okay. So I mean, if Roma gets their act together, because I don't know, Inter and AC Milan have picked up their game, and Juve's been dropping. So I don't know. I see Juve taking up third. I'll maybe getting past Inter.
Yeah,
But
it looks like they have four now. So I don't know if it
okay.
changed recently, but they have four. So right now, the top four, and this is the very beginning of the season, but it's Napoli, Atalanta, Milan, and Udinese. Then for Europa League, that's Inter. Then Conference League is Lazio, and then Juventus and Roma. So like they have a lot of competition because Fiorentina's there. Like all these teams are just as good as Juve right now.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's move on to Wednesday. Wednesday we had Group A. Start out with Ajax versus Rangers. Um, Ajax won comfortably 4-0. I think Rangers tried to put up a good fight, tried to do like the other teams did the day before, do low block counterattack. It's just Ajax, even with losing Anthony up against a team like Rangers, like it's no match in my opinion.
Yeah, they Ajax looked really good. Um, their attack was fluid. They had players coming from every direction. I was impressed.
Same. We'll see if they can keep up the form with losing Anthony to Man United. Obviously they'll win the Dutch league again. I don't think anybody can compete with them there, but we'll see how the form keeps up in the Champions League.
Yeah, they're going to struggle against some of the other teams, but I think that if they can keep this like this focus going, like I like their team. They have a lot of chemistry. They are getting older in some key points, but they should do well.
Yep, agreed. All right, and then arguably probably the craziest game of this Champions League week was Napoli versus Liverpool. Napoli beat Liverpool 4-1. Blew everybody's mind. Um, and they had a missed PK by how do you say Uzimin. I think I said
Yeah,
that right.
Victor Osimhen.
Um, so I mean, they scored three within the first half and had a missed PK. So I like what everybody's been asking is, or what everybody's been saying is, Liverpool is missing Mane. Like they can't
Mhm.
score because of Mane. But look at Liverpool's back. It's like it's pretty much the same, and Van Dijk's trying to carry it on his shoulders, and his form is slipping. Like you've seen it against in the Premier League against some teams. Like he's getting beat out, he's getting bullied. So his form is slipping up. Um, it's probably because he's having to do more to try to carry that defense. So, what's your opinion, David?
Yeah, I don't really know. I can't diagnose why Liverpool is not doing well. I know that I promised that they would beat Man U because I thought that they were going to snap out of their funk, but it looks like they have deeper problems, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible that it's Jurgen Klopp overload. Like after years of Jurgen Klopp telling them that they have to run 100 miles an hour, they're done. Or I don't know. I don't think Mane could be the reason for their defensive problems, just like you said.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm going to give props to Napoli first because they played really well. They like you said, they won two penalties. They only converted one of them, and they even had Diego Simeone's son, score a goal. You know, it was a tap in, but they opened up Liverpool in ways that if other teams looked at them, then other teams would be able to emulate. Like Napoli
Mm-hmm.
is a good team, but they're not a great team. You get some of these great players, and Liverpool's going to be opened up.
Yep.
Um, I don't really know what else to say other than uh, Liverpool's got to get it figured out. You know, they had some great attacks. Luis Diaz scored that fantastic goal, and they put in some great counterattacks. But
Ooh.
you're not going to be able to if your back is that open. You're not going to be able to outscore your opponent every game.
No. No. Um. So I mean, just like look at their depth. Like they have Joel Matip, which he's decent. He's all right. And then they have Gomez, he's quick, but his defense is just okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I was saying, Van Dyke. It's basically Van Dyke, Robertson, and Arnold carrying that defense, and Robson and Arnold are wingbacks, so they're up most of the time. And so it's Van Dyke having to try to deal with all this. 'Cause, like Fabinho tries to stay back, but he's not fast enough. And so I know during the transfer season, well, early transfer season, Klopp was like, no, we don't need any midfielders, and they got Darwin Nunez to strengthen to replace Mane. But he's an all-out striker. Um, but they didn't focus on any of the defense, which I think they should have. They should have tried to get somebody to maybe compete with Matip or Gomez because those two aren't doing it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of intrigued because their midfield also like where did they strengthen? Like you said, they got strikers over the last
Hmm.
half year, um,
Yep.
and so
They got one midfielder on loan, Arthur.
yeah, but the question is like who who looked like there were problems? Like the defense looked like there were problems. The midfield looked like it was getting old. Like he subbed out. Like Fabinho stayed in, but Milner and Harvey Elliott subbed out, and subbing in Thiago, like fantastic sub to put in. But like if you're getting opened up, like Thiago and like those guys, they're not going to be cutting off passes. They're not going to be able to
No.
make those like that tactical defensive move. That's Fabinho, and all the weight's on his shoulders and Van Dijk's shoulders to stop like those things. And when that doesn't happen, they look really bad. I'm just so confused about why this year they look so bad compared to last year. So maybe it's a hangover still from last year's effort to push them to compete against City. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. So yeah, they need to figure something out, and then I mean, Luis Diaz is pretty much carrying Liverpool right now.
Yeah.
Um, so he's been scoring all their goals.
Well, think about this. Think about like who they were able to sub in. They have up top. They have Luis Diaz, Roberto Firmino, and Salah, and they were able to sub in Jota. Nunez, and I think they could have put in like a couple more if they need, someone else if they needed to. That's unbelievable. And but
Mhm.
but the thing was, like if if you're already down 4-0, that doesn't do anything, and they only scored one.
Yeah.
With that, I don't know. That's just disappointing. So,
So
I, yeah,
I think Klopp is trying to rely on his offense more, um, because because they weren't able to get a defender or a defensive midfielder, um, to strengthen the back, and so he's forced to play all these attacking players to try to get as many goals as possible to outscore the opponent instead of shooting for clean sheets. So
yeah. So what I used to always say was, if you can outlast Jurgen Klopp's like first half an hour of attack, then you had a very strong chance of beating them. The interesting thing now though is a lot of like the stuff that has been scored against them has been counters on those
yeah,
attacks.
that's
Like
right.
it's been countering like while they're in the midst of their first half hour of like super intense attack, which means that like the other teams have kind of seen this weakness, and it's a big enough weakness that Liverpool, if they don't figure it out, they're going to really suffer in the Premier League and in the Champions League. Even I don't know how many teams in their group can do what Napoli did. Napoli had some great finishing, and
Mhm.
they really exposed Virgil van Dijk, who, like you said, should be the key to their defense, but he looked like he's been looking a second slow all season.
Yeah. So last tidbit on Klopp. So this is his seventh season at Liverpool, and he either has quit or has been sacked every season, every seventh season at every club he's been at. So, and we just lost David again. So, um, you guys got me again. So we'll be right back once David comes back. Oh wait, he's back. All right, we're good.
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time, so I was like, I'm gone.
Okay.
I don't know I'm gone.
All right.
I'm, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, let's keep it moving. Let's go to was it Group D? It is now on Wednesday. We got Sporting beat Frankfurt 3-0, and then Tottenham beat Marseille 2-0. Dave, you want to talk about Tottenham?
Yeah, I think that they got lucky. I think that they're still going through that same thing that I talked about at last show. They don't look like they have the incisiveness in the attack that they need. Um, and this is not a giant critique of them. It's just like they're right now their strength lies in their counterattack and in their
Mhm.
fast breaks. It's not really in their build up play, and they need to do something more. I like how they're incorporating things, but they kind of got lucky. I'd say not lucky in their goals. I think they were good goals. It was just um, they're not really playing like a side that's creating as much chances as they need to.
It looked like Tottenham.
Say it again. Did
Sorry.
I cut out right at Tottenham?
No, sorry about that, guys. Our video just cut out for some reason, but we're back. Yeah, go ahead, Dave. What you're saying?
I'll keep it short. Basically, Richarlison did well. The rest of the team has not done great, and so fantastic from Richarlison. Um, Everything else, it was kind of a slugfest.
Yep. All right, moving on to Group B. Another upset was Leverkusen lost out to Club Bruges. Is that how you say it, Bruges?
Bruges, yeah, Bruges. Yeah, I say
So
Bruges.
that was a big upset, but Leverkusen's form has been dropping recently because they lost this last weekend as well when they should have won. Um, so I mean, granted they had the oh yeah this is what I was going to talk about. They had the disallowed goal 74th minute because of VAR. So Champions League is trying out the new FIFA. Um, what's it called? Like the technology in the balls, where it's like it's automated, simulated offsides, and it's well, one they have technology in the balls for the goals, but then the camera software is automatically recognizes like when it's offside. So like the V it takes time away from the VAR ref to and his assistants to go in and like analyze and make lines and stuff. And so, but the big downside to the system is it goes by millimeters. And so literally, I'm pretty sure it was this goal. If not, it was a different one. So excuse me for not doing my research, but there was a goal, and his it literally was his like knee. It was like 2 millimeters of his knee was offsides, and so they called it offsides and no goal. And it's just like, come
Yeah,
on.
and that's just incredibly disappointing. I know I've talked about this multiple times, but the Dutch league in the past has actually been giving like a margin of error so that
Hmm.
the lines aren't exact, because I don't know how you can be that exact with offside. I anyway, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
You know how in baseball when like someone the pitch like they throw they try throwing the runner out,
Hmm.
and like if it's about a tie, if it's like almost a tie, it's supposed to be like given to the runner. I
Hmm.
feel like that's how soccer should be.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Yeah, I can see that, but I don't know.
A
Sport.
millimeter? You're telling me a millimeter is not a tie? That's a
Yeah.
tie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like eh, it's like right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Whatever. All right, let's keep moving. All right. Big exciting game was Atletico Porto, with all three goals in the last what was it, 11 minutes of the game, all in stoppage time, like and a red card in the 81st minute. Like, come on, it's
What a
crazy.
game.
So it was pretty stale until that red card, um, and then all chaos happened. So Atletico scored 91st, and then Porto got a pen in the 96th minute, and then Griezmann taps in a header from like a foot outside the goal from a corner to win it. And the guy that is supposed to play less than 40 minutes a game ends up winning it for Atletico. So crazy game, crazy.
Yeah,
Up
the
in.
only thing I'd add is that everyone always complains like when Atletico scored, they celebrated a while, right? When Porto scored, they celebrated a while. Guess what? The ref did it right. He added the extra time on to the extra time,
Yep.
and so the 8 minute stoppage time got extended to
Hmm.
like 11 or whatever, and
Like
that's when
12
Griezmann
minutes. Yeah.
scored. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ref did it right.
Hmm.
I still think that Atleti would have had more trouble if Porto hadn't got their red card, but they got lucky. And congrats! Like what a crazy finish! I couldn't believe it. Like I was watching and I was like, it's the 85th minute, nothing, nothing, and like then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like
Chaos. Yep. That's why we love the game. Why it's
yep.
crazy. We love it. All right. So going out of Group B. Gosh, snap. Sorry, guys. Um, my face. All right. So going into Group C, we had Inter versus Bayern. Um, Bayern won. I would say by a margin. Or a slight margin, because Leroy Sané got his goal from Kimmich assist. But then the
Mhm.
other goal was, I mean, it was a ping pong goal, but they called it own goal because they were just it was going everywhere, and ended up in the net. So it was, gosh, I think it was like five different shots from like five different players from Bayern, and then finally like deflected off somebody and went in. Um, but I think overall it was a pretty dominant performance from Bayern, what everybody expected. Um, not dominant as in like possession, but definitely in like shots.
Yeah, and I really
So
like Bayern's quality of bench. Like they were able to pull out Sabitzer and put in um, freaking Goretzka. They have Upamecano. They have Nabry, Stanisic, and Musiala, who's been like one of the best young players. So I think that their bench is fantastic. I feel like Inter's uh, they also like should have some all right players, but think about it, like they have Chalanoglu who left like a while ago from like he's been in Inter for a couple years. He left. He was in. Was he in? He was in the Bundesliga. That's all I
yeah,
remember.
what
Mkhitaryan and
is it?
Brozovic.
Sabitzer
Say that
or
again.
who you trying to remember? Sabitzer?
No, where Chalanoglu used to play.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I'm just saying, Inter's team is just like not like I don't think they have like their quality is like clearly on a different level, which I think is what you were saying earlier. Is that Bayern, even though like they might not have dominated possession or anything, their quality dominated.
Yeah, they absolutely peppered that goal. If you look at the stats, it's like 21-9 for shots or something like that. Let me yeah,
Yeah,
21-9, and then 11 of those 21 shots on target. So they were literally peppering that goal.
yeah,
So and that shows with the transfers they got this season, and with their trust into oh, what's his name, the new kid.
Musiala, the young one, or
No, he played this last over the weekend. Matthias Tell.
oh, okay,
He's an upcoming young, like Lewandowski type striker, and he's been scoring a lot for them in the league. Um, even though he didn't come in for the Champions League, but he's
yeah, he's like the really good young Frenchman. That's right.
yeah, he's really good. But again, I mean, Mane didn't score, but I think a lot of defenders are getting pulled to Mane, just because of the stuff he did at Liverpool, and so they know how dangerous he is, and that's why like Leroy Sané is getting so many goals this season, is because he's getting that space to actually get shots and score some goals. So
Yeah, it's been a really interesting tactical setup from Bayern, and I really like what they've been doing. I've been confused about their struggles in the Bundesliga, but I think that they'll continue to improve, and I think that in the Champions League they actually should do maybe even better than the Bundesliga.
yeah, well, I mean that's their ultimate goal because they want to be winning the Bundesliga or the Champions League consistently, because
Hmm.
they just won their 10th Bundesliga in a row, or ninth or 10th. Well, I can't remember. So many.
After a certain point, though, right? Like you're like, okay, that was another one. We got to start winning the
Another.
champion. Yeah, another. Yeah, I agree.
So, um, but yeah, let's hit on Barcelona a tad bit. They won over I can't even say their name. Pilsen.
Victoria
Um,
Wilson. Yeah.
5-1 with Lewandowski get a hat trick. Yes, he did get a hat trick. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. Maybe that was a move to a different system that Lewandowski needed to actually score in the Champions League. Again,
Yeah.
it was against a mediocre little team. So, um, Real Madrid have yet to play a top team like Real Madrid or anybody else. So we'll see when they actually face somebody worth their own competition.
Yeah, what I would like to add is that Barcelona's spine, if you look at it for this team,
Hmm.
they still had Ter Stegen from before, from previously, but they had Christensen, Kunde, Kessier, and Lewandowski all down the center of the pitch, and those are all new players that they shouldn't have been able to afford.
Hmm.
So clearly, like Usman Dembele and Ansu Fati, like they still played very well, but the guys that scored were Kessier and Lewandowski and Ferran Torres. Just like it's unbelievable. So I don't want to say too much because I'll get worked up, but
Same.
they're going to do well against what do they call it? Flat track or they're flat track bullies? Is that how you call
Hmm.
them?
I think so. Yeah. Um, I really want to know Xavi's recipe or like how he's convincing these players to come to his team because like with that mindset routine, wherever you can probably pick up like any girl in the world, convince them to sign for Barcelona,
Yeah. Yep.
or I don't know, like it
Um.
boggles my mind.
Yeah. I don't. I think that it's just the money. I think that everyone knows the money. Money talks.
It does talk. It does
Yeah.
talk a lot. And then with that, we'll end on our Champions League overview for Group Stage Game One, and we'll get into some groundbreaking. I'm going to say it's Chelsea FC groundbreaking news that happened on the 8th, so a few days ago. Coach Thomas Tuchel was let go over a 10-minute phone call from Todd Bowley, um, in which they had like a small argument, um, and then he was told he's being let go. So lots of rumors came out, but lots of facts have came out too. I'm gonna read the statement real quick from Chelsea. It says, on behalf of everyone at Chelsea FC, the club would like to place on record its gratitude for Thomas and his staff for all their efforts during their time with the club. Thomas will rightly have a place in Chelsea's history after winning Champions League, the Super Cup, and the Club World Cup in this time. And this sentence is, I think, especially important. It says, as the new ownership group reaches 100 days since taking over the club, and as it continues its hard work to take the club forward, the new owners believe it is the right time to make this transition.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, so I,
So let's go over a
I do not
timeline.
believe. Yeah, okay, you can go over timeline.
So real quick timeline. So Tuchel gets in. I'm not going to go over the whole timeline, but basically he gets in and he wins the Champions League, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then like last year they don't do
January.
great, but they do all right. Let's jump to the new owners. They come in. They start signing a bunch of players that Tuchel doesn't even say like these are the players I need. They chase a bunch of people. Barcelona steals a bunch of people. They can't get like their replacements, the good guys that they want. They have like new attackers that they're trying to feed in. They have a new like none of their initial guys that they want, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And then let's jump to this last week. They lose 1-0 in a game that is very understandable, a very understandable loss. The next day, I don't know what was on that phone call. You know better than me, but he gets let go. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So what happened was, from my understanding in the articles I've read, and tweets and stuff, is that from basically when when they fired Marina Glavovic. I can never say her name. So long. She was the sporting director for Chelsea FC under Abramovich. She was the one that bullied teams to get like the transfer we wanted. Like no one could deal with her. She was like the ultimate like transfer guru for Chelsea. We pretty much got like anybody we wanted because of that, because of her. And so, but because she was under Abramovich, she still had that like Abramovich like feeling to the club, and
Yeah.
and because of the sanctions put on him from the UK and from NATO and all that stuff going on with Russia versus UK, or Ukraine in the Ukrainian war. Britain just wanted nothing to do with Russia. They were kicking the Russians out, no Russian business whatsoever, including in football. And so he fired her, and then he basically made Thomas Tuchel the sporting director of Chelsea, which
Mm.
which is like pretty much unheard of, because that gave him the power to say yes or no for transfers and have like direct say for transfers. Because normally a coach, like you can go in and you can say, hey man, like what's my spending cap? And you say, hey, okay, you have like $100 million this transfer season, and then the coach says, okay, here's like the list I want, and then they go through the list and say, hey, no, this guy may be expensive, and they blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But with the extra power and responsibility that Tuchel was given, that Todd Bowley thought was the right thing to do, because he wanted more input from Thomas Tuchel because there's a new regime.
Yeah.
Um, it it overwhelmed Tuchel. Like he came out and said that he did not want that. He felt like it was not his place, because he had to show up to executive meetings, he had to show up to transfer meetings, he had to meet players, meet potential players, talk to potential players, be in like 5 extra group chats, like all this communication that he did not want, because he just wanted to focus on the team and the play and focus on winning. Um, and that can honestly be attributed to our bad form right now, in my
Yeah.
opinion, is because Tuchel had more responsibility than any other coach in the world, to try to run, as sporting director for Chelsea FC. And I know a lot of people will probably not agree with me on that because they may know more or whatever, but I think too much responsibility was put on Tuchel, and he could not take it. And you could see it in his personal life. Like as soon as the the sanctions started coming with Abramovich, Tuchel had to take more responsibility because Abramovich couldn't be there, to take to take his ownership role. So he had to take um, some natural responsibility because he wasn't there, from the very beginning, um, from the sanctions, and then shortly thereafter he got a divorce with his wife, um, and then he got a new young girlfriend, which started rumors within the players about how young she was and all this other stuff, and that started strife with him and the players. Um, and then you saw that when he left, he only got like 5 social media posts or like farewell goodbyes from like players, to include like Reece James, Mason Mount, Aspilicueta, Georgie, Conte, all the good players, pretty much. Um, but so that there was pretty much, you can, I don't know, I chalk it down to the UK sanctions on Abramovich that started the downfall of Chelsea. Because of that, we had to go through this 6-month process of selling the club, which put an enormous amount of stress on the players, and even more so on Thomas Tuchel and Marina, because Abramovich wasn't there to conduct his normal responsibilities, or he wasn't able to go to and from Cobham or Stamford Bridge to conduct meetings, or his offices in London to conduct meetings for the club. And so Marina had to take over, and Tuchel had to take over some Marina's responsibility. I don't know if I'm saying her name wrong still, but yeah. But I think overall it was just a lot of stress, too much stress for Thomas Tuchel, and he couldn't cope. He just couldn't cope with it, and Todd Bowley thought that that power and responsibility would is good for a coach, um, and I totally disagree. So yeah, thoughts, David?
Yeah, so clearly, I think not to get too much into this argument, but clearly coaches should have more say on who they get, because I get so frustrated when teams get players for their system that don't even fit. But I agree with you. That seems like a rough situation. Either way, though, letting Thomas Tuchel go after that is kind of silly. So they got Graham Potter, and guess what? Thomas Tuchel, he's going to be able to relax for like 6 months. He's going to be able to, do whatever he wants, finally like get his personal life together, and he's going to get on another top team. Like there's going to be a top team, maybe not in England, but somewhere that wants him, and it's going to be fine for him. So he's not the loser here. It's Chelsea trying to figure out, Graham Potter trying to figure out a new club, a new style, with a team that wasn't working, a team that was molded for Thomas Tuchel. I'm not saying it worked well with him, but guess what? You have wingbacks. You have three at the back. You have other things like Graham Potter. Like I don't know if this is how he wants to play. And you have like so many attackers that you don't know where to put them. So many like attacking midfielders that you can't put them in the team. Um, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation for Chelsea, and I feel bad for the players.
Yeah. Just to before I go on the Graham Potter, just to touch up on Tuchel. So, um, a big disconnect happened when Chelsea went on the USA tour.
Mm,
There was a lot of miscommunication, a lot of um, transfer miscommunication because they brought Sterling and Koulibaly in almost like straight away, which those are two main targets for Thomas, which Todd Bowley 100% completely agreed on. Um, and then the rumors came out for Ronaldo. That Ronaldo was trying to get away from Man U, that Chelsea was an option, and then Todd Bowley sat down with Ronaldo, was talking to him, and then Todd Bowley came to Thomas, and just like every other club in the world, Tuchel was like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing this. We're not taking this toxic, egotistic player that is, almost I don't know, what is he, almost 40 or like 35 or whatever, and still
yeah,
think still thinks he's the greatest of all time and the best player in the world right now. And he can carry any team. So like, and he destroys like every locker room he walks into. So Thomas Tuchel saw right through him, but all Todd Bowley saw, in my opinion, was marketing and money. Like he wanted Ronaldo in the Chelsea jersey to get shirt sales and season ticket holders and individual tickets. So that's my opinion. Was even though it probably would have been a big buyout, it would have been um, a way bigger investment for Chelsea to get Ronaldo profit wise. And so I think that's all Todd Bowley saw. But another snippet for transfers was Jules Koundé.
yeah.
Um, he was on the verge of signing for Chelsea before the Barcelona takeover. The only reason, from what I understand, the only reason why the takeover happened for Barcelona is because Tuchel did not talk to Kunde. He didn't want
Mm,
Kunde. He did not talk to him. Bowley wanted him because he saw him as a good center back, which you know, arguably Bowley was right. I mean, a lot of Chelsea fans, including me, were really excited to get Kunde because he's super fast, he's super defensive, and we were really stoked to get him. But I mean, Tuchel saw that he wouldn't fit in the system or whatever, so he just didn't want him, didn't talk to him, ignored it, and then Barcelona swept in. And so those were like two main reasons, apparently, why Tuchel was sacked um, during the summer. So
so I guess I get all the reasons. It just seems to me like a
oh
problematic situation. Like
yeah,
you you put yourself, you walked into that scenario. Like those are step by step problems,
mhm.
and I don't know
Yeah,
if I would have felt better if they got, if like after they're like, hey Tuchel, by the way, like you're doing all these things and like clearly like things are going problem wise, like maybe they should have addressed it then. I don't know, like when like the USA tour for example,
yeah.
but I don't know what it's, that sounds like an absolute mess. That's like what I'm getting at.
So it is, and going back to that sentence from the Chelsea FC statement, the 100 days. That's like Todd Bowley was treating this like a takeover of a company. Like
Yeah,
the first 100 days is the mark where you start making changes and you start um, molding it to what you want it to be. And
yep,
Tuchel was too much conflict, and Todd Bowley came out and said like he was like really hard to deal with, and I'm like, dude, like welcome to Europe, man. Welcome to European football. Like this is the Premier League. Like we don't like turn over and bow to anybody. Like Premier League, we fight people. Like
yeah.
per, I mean. Premier League's notorious for getting in I guess in the 80s and 90s just fighting each other, but um, like I don't know, like I don't think he understands like normally or like traditionally even I would say that you give a coach or even a brand new coach at least a year, if not until the January transfer window, to get the team set straight and winning and in a good place. Not 7 games and one Champions League game.
Yeah, that's. I
So
guess that's the main point, right? Like,
yeah,
are you really saying that? I think you're right that it's the 100 days, not the Champions
hmm
League game,
yep,
because that Champions League game, it doesn't make any sense to me. That was just a random thing that
yeah.
occurred.
So also a report came out saying they decided they pretty much decided at the Southampton game that they were going to sack Tuchel, which was like 2 games before uh, the Champions League game, or
Yeah,
like a game before, something like that. So it was a couple weeks before the Champions League game. Um, Todd Bowley already met with the board, and they pretty much already decided that they were going to sack him. Um,
crazy.
yeah, so I mean, my thing is like like Chelsea is in the rebuilding phase, like 100%. We're going to be that for the next couple of years, especially now that we got Graham Potter. Like, because Graham Potter has to get the players he wants to fit his system, get rid of players, and all that whole jazz, and then reform the team to his formation, and like all that, like the whole coaching process we did a year ago that took an entire season for Tuchel to do. And then it got demolished by the UK sanctions on Abramovich. So I mean, even
Graham Potter has very particular coaching style. He's very much
yeah, that too.
beautiful sweeping moves. It's more possession, like you said. It's not Chelsea's classic style. Like,
No.
I don't think that the Chelsea players that you have right now. Let me tell you what can fix it. There's one thing that can fix literally any team's problem in the world, and that's a healthy Conte. So if Conte gets back and healthy,
Yes.
like, they'll all of a sudden look good.
So
Um,
I think the main concern tactically um for Chelsea or like Chelsea fans is obviously formation.
yeah.
Because I know historically Graham Potter has played like a 3-4-2-1 or 3-1 or a 3-4-1-2. Um but he's also been heavy on the four of a flat four
Hmm.
also, so which would arguably leave like Thiago Silva out of the lineup, which he's another big captain, or so it'd leave like Thiago Silva and Aspilicueta, which are like our two like big captains, and our next big captain would be Jorginho,
Hmm.
um, and then Mason Mount. So I mean, and then those are two. Well, I mean, Thiago Silva's only been with us a couple of years, but it feels like he's been with us for like 5 or 6 years. He feels like so much part of the club
Yeah,
already.
and also with Thiago, like you said, like, how old is he? He's let's
I think he's
see,
like 33 or something like that.
37.
33. Oh, gosh, I'm way off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
he's
my point.
probably
That,
one season left, maybe.
yeah, so like, he's going to, you can't put him like in a back four. He needs to have a back three.
Yeah,
And so, like, the players that he has is going to help determine what Graham Potter does. So I guess that was my point from earlier. Graham Potter wants to do other things, but can he with the players he has? I'm not exactly sure.
yeah. I mean, realistically, we can probably run a 4-3-3 with the players we have if we do uh Cucurella, Koulibaly, Fofana, Reece James, and when then we stick Conte, defensive midfielder, and we do Georgie and Kovacic in the middle. We stick Mount right forward, Sterling left forward, and either Havertz or Aubameyang up top. So I mean, we so his I mean historically that's been Chelsea's formation is a 4-3-3. It's
Yeah.
just It's just Tuchel has changed it to a three back recently, so
Yeah, and it's worked well for them
and it's
because of the
worked well.
players. So
Yeah.
there's no point in having Thiago Silva though if you're not going to run three at the back. And same with Azpilicueta. Like he's getting to a point where he probably is a third center back, much more than he's a
Oh
right back.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So like, but quick note with like old right backs and old left backs, like they convert into center backs. We see that with Alaba. Like he's an amazing center back now. Now that
yeah,
he's not fast. I mean,
yeah,
he's decently fast for a center back, but he can't keep up with the young fast wing backs now.
he's not going to be
So
running up and down the
anyway,
field a million times. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah, but he
Yep.
makes a really good center back. So
Yeah. So
I mean
so
that's where I see Chelsea heading is the 4-3-3. So
you're seeing 1 or 2 years of rebuilding though is what you're really seeing.
at least at least
Yeah.
2 years rebuilding. So we're definitely not going to win a. I I think if anything, we'll have a chance in like the FA Cup or something next 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's the only silverware I think we're going to see. If we might be able to pull off like a miracle Champions League or something again, maybe, but doubt it.
That's Chelsea's MO, right?
Yep, that's their MO. All right, let's wrap up this podcast. You got any last comments, David?
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but there's no Premier League games this weekend because of the Queen's death. So that's too bad. Uh, my thoughts to go to everyone in Great Britain and the old British Empire who had connections with the Queen. I know this isn't a political thing, so I'll move on from there pretty quickly. But it's fantastic to have the Champions League back. There's so many,
Oh yeah.
so many good games, so many intense scenarios. I think we're in for how every year like they're like, oh, look at all these teams, and then when it gets past the group stage, it's like all basically the same teams. I think we're going to see some interesting teams this year, and
Same.
it's going to be a good one.
Same. All right, David. Thanks for joining. Like always, guys, like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're always posting up news updates, retweeting stuff from everywhere, from Fabrizio and Atletico and all that stuff. So keep following us to get your European football updates, and we'll see you guys next time.